Alright, so we are now rolling. Hey guys, so I'm not going to do our typical intro because it's not exactly a typical video, as you can see. One difference is that we're not in a cab doing this video together, and we'll go over everything and discuss what's occurred and what's going to be occurring. So the first change is obviously we're not in a cab together. And this is because we're not necessarily just on home time. We've actually decided to no longer drive over the road. And this is not because we have issues with each other. Far from it. We actually did completely fine. We were actually both kind of shocked as to how well that went. Well, I guess not entirely shocked, just it went a little bit better than we expected. What basically occurred is that it was mostly to do with me, to be honest. As I had stated in previous videos, whenever we were out on the road, that was not my first rodeo. I had done that before, like 6-7 years ago, and it was for about 2 years, and at that time I was still doing reasonably well, but my co-driver at the time, he wanted to go local because he had already been doing it for about a decade, and he just wanted to be home and doing the same thing, but just being closer to home, understandably. And so I ended up going local as well. Just worked out that way to where I was able to do it, funny enough. This time around, I thought maybe things would be different, and just having had more experience. And for the most part, it did well, up until about 3 to 4 months before we decided to get off the road. I began having issues with sleeping thoroughly throughout the night, and it would occur for about 2 weeks straight. It feels like one day out of the week or a couple days out of the week where I was only getting about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, it wouldn't have been such a big issue, but it was every damn night, and I couldn't operate a career that way whenever my main duty was to be driving for 10, 11 hours. I'd gotten fed up with it, and I had already told Doppler that I was wanting to go local because just I wanted to be home every night, and pay that you get while driving on the road for a company really just feels like you're being shit on, which I knew going into that would be the issue, but we had also hoped to get on a dedicated route, which didn't happen because nothing was available, and they talk like they didn't know when it was going to happen. It could have been a few months, it could have been a year, and I wasn't going to deal with that. So we had both decided that we would find another company, and we did. That would have given us way better home time and more pay. All around is a way better situation. However, when we attempted to get into it, we ran into some issues to where we weren't able to do that, and so we had to look for other options. And currently I am lined up for another option, and Doppler is doing so as well. Doppler, if you have anything you want to say on the matter in this regard before we get to the major channel update.
Your sleep issues and your homesickness basically became a big issue, which I had homesickness too, but it wasn't anywhere near the extent that you had. And sleeping issues for me weren't really a thing.
As far as the major changes that are going to be occurring to this channel is that we have decided that it's better for us to go on hiatus, because with the way things are currently, we cannot do the review videos while we're trying to get other positions lined up, and then even then we don't know how things are going to go. We may be on completely different schedules, we don't know, so everything is kind of up in the air right now. Obviously we still have the videos that we already have scheduled, which well, I think you said at one point whenever we tried to do this last time, and then I screwed up because I didn't get the setup completely right. Go figure. I think there was like a week or two of videos we still had going out, which, as you guys saw, the Bandmade video recently came up, and thank you for all the comments. We actually do appreciate the interaction, even though a lot of people didn't agree with what we had to say, but that's become usual for us, and we expect it at this point.
Yeah, I knew it was coming, but, like I told you, I said for the most part, people have been most have been pretty,
Understanding.
civil.
Yeah, which the people that are understanding, we appreciate you. Those that have been slightly more abrasive, we expect that, but always remember there is room for constructive criticism and constructive, we'll say, either debate or discussion on the matter. As far as whenever we'll get back to doing what we were, obviously it's going to be a completely different setup. We are not going to be in the truck again together. We've tossed around some ideas of how we could do this, and right now they're just ideas. We have not gone into any kind of further discussion on what would be concrete, but we're thinking it's going to be probably at least 6 months, probably till the end of the year, the beginning of next year, that we might be able to do something. But even then, that's just us assuming, and we don't know for certain. So, I mean, there could be a worst case scenario where we decide that we'll potentially record things individually. We will kind of go off of each other that way, and I know in doing that way, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the more personal discussion on the matter, but it's still the original intent of what we were doing this for is still getting across, but just not in the same way that we have been doing it for about the past year.
We definitely want to keep doing the channel because we've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed making the videos. We've enjoyed interacting with everybody. It's just figuring out how we're going to do it going forward.
On that,
Let's just be patient.
Patience, and the videos are going to become, if we do pick this back up and do somewhat similar to what we were doing, it's not going to be near to the extent of what we were doing. At best, I'm assuming you might get one video every week or two, probably at the most. Because, yeah, it's just, we don't know how this is going to go, and I'm actually wanting to put more into a focus on my own personal channel, because there's things that I wanted to attempt to do while we were also doing this channel that it just didn't work out because there wasn't enough time, because I actually wanted to do more covers that I was interested in doing, and personal thoughts on my instruments that may be able to help those either getting into guitar or just curious on a particular item, we'll say, which I do have some things planned, and that I want to do, but currently I'm not in a situation where I can entirely do that. So even that's going to probably be maybe 2 or 3 months down the line.
Still music related, but you do have some stuff that is IT related too.
What do I know?
On your own channel. I was saying that you have done like headset reviews and mic reviews and stuff like that, and camera reviews.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually probably not going to be doing that. Funny enough, the one thing that had crossed my mind on doing, because I've become a little bit more well-versed into it within the past couple years, and it would be a major switch up from what I've done before, but metal and guitar is not the only thing I'm interested in. I do also like boomsticks and going out to the range, having fun with that. I've contemplated doing a review type thing on some of the belts. There are a couple of the belts that I've had, along with carrying, that I've contemplated making a video on, but don't know that I'll do that because anything gun related on YouTube gets a little funky, and other guys have had issues with doing that, so
But anyway, as we said, obviously, bear with us. We're most likely not going to film anything for the next few months.
I will say though, because while we haven't released any kind of videos on any new material that's come out, doesn't mean we haven't been listening to it. The Nightwish album, I'm assuming you've already listened to all of it?
Doesn't come out till September.
Oh.
Yeah, they've only released the one song, which amongst fans, there's been a lot of controversy about it because of the way that they edited the song. Tomas and as well as other people in the band have come out saying that the editing was a creative choice in that song, which is fine. I see what people are talking about and complaining about when you listen to the song, editing wise, but at the same time, I get what the band was going for. Me personally, I kind of have mixed feelings about it, but ultimately, and Tomas has said this before, when they make music, they make it for them. If other people like it, that's great, and honestly, I think that's the right way to go about it anyway, because that's what keeps things fresh. That's what keeps, them as musicians interested in what they're doing, because as soon as a band starts making stuff for their fans, that's when you lose creativity and things start getting boring. So nonetheless, I'm still excited to hear the rest of the album. The song they put out wasn't bad by any means. It definitely felt like a continuation of Human Nature, even though they say that while theme-wise this album continues from Human Nature, musically they say it's pretty different. First song, not so much. We'll see how the rest goes. But nonetheless, I'm excited about it. I know they got 2 more songs that are supposed to come out before the album releases, so we'll see how those are. But yeah.
Nice. I wanted to piggyback on what you mentioned about that they were making material for themselves and not necessarily for the fans, but and that's how they've been able to lead to great success within their career. I can attest to that because Lamb of God is the same way. It's Randy has said before, if you don't like it, that's fine, because we make this material for people, and if you like it, cool. If you don't, there's other groups, which I've greatly enjoyed. What I will say though, as you guys can probably have seen by my shirt, this is a huge recommendation. Absolute recommendation.
I've listened to the songs they've released, but I haven't listened to the whole thing yet.
There are a couple on here that are my personal favorites that have not been released as singles, and that is the second track, I Still Wear This Crown, and Grime, the 3/4 of the way to the end, impressed me on that, which I think you would be impressed by Grime.
Yeah, all the ones released, Fire is my favorite, like the title track.
Now,
but yeah, I'll eventually have to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned to Doppler as well as to another guy we know that the one thing that I loved about this album is that Kitty is not forgotten about their roots, and that they are the queens of nu metal. Like, even back in the 90s, whenever they struggled, and I mean struggled, just like Evanescence did, they have not forgotten their roots, and yet they maintained the fact that they can still hold their own within this new era of modern metal, which I don't like a lot of it because, for obvious reasons we've stated before in numerous videos. What has impressed me about I Still Wear This Crown is they went almost Southern groove metal into it, and I was amazed by it, absolutely, because it's something that I've never really heard them go through in a long time, I'll say. Like, they had some of that in Spit and Oracle, but haven't heard a lot of that recently. Grime, what impressed me about that is one thing that both of us hate are we don't mind if a group does breakdowns, but we want them to be good. Or we look for something that's good, and even more, something that's not predictable. And Grime did something that Lamb of God did back in New American Gospel, and I do not recall which track it is off the top of my head. I can't remember at all, but it was on that album, and it's just all of a sudden they hit into a breakdown, and it gets impressive, I will say. So for anyone that wants an interesting old school kind of breakdown, I highly recommend Grime for something this like consistent groove metal rhythm. I highly recommend I Still Wear This Crown. If you want something that'll eat your damn face off, just listen to the first track on this album. Fire is just beyond incredible. What was that?
It's a great song.
It is. And then Eyes Wide Open, their last track, even though funny enough that was the first single they released, it is beyond a doubt a wink to the old fans. Yeah, so I honestly, and I told them this as well, there's only 2 tracks that I'm not the biggest fan of, which even then is still, for what they are, they're great. That's One Foot in the Grave, and I think it's Are You Entertained that... I want to say it's Are You Entertained, that's the other one I didn't particularly care for, but the main reason I didn't care for it is because it's too radio friendly to me. Whenever I listen to it in the car compared to my phone, I actually discovered that it almost feels like old school Atreyu, yeah, which I've found very interesting.
Yeah, when I listened to One Foot in the Grave or whatever it was called, yeah, it felt like a song that they wrote to play live, like to have the fans something to kind of like sing along with them almost, if that makes any sense. But,
well, in that case, with that, if they're gonna sing along to anything, like I feel like they're We Are Shadows, which is pretty much their anthem, the anthem track. That is something that. What was that?
To an extent, yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, We Are Shadows is probably one of the. It's something that's going to really, really grab a lot of the modern metal people in the world today, and if they're not already versed in Kitty, then it'll kind of. It's a nice crossover or gateway. It is one of the best constructed albums, in my opinion, that has come out. Aside from Invincible Shield from Priest, that was an incredible album that they put out, even though my father was a bit confused about it, but I honestly don't think he's heard much past either British Steel or Screaming for Vengeance. Anything past that, I'm not sure that he's all that well versed in, but then again, he's older school priest, so I doubt he even knows anything. Like, I doubt he really knows much, even like Angel of Retribution or anything like that. God forbid he learns about Tim.
Eventually, I will check out the album. I haven't yet. The Kitty one. I've listened to obviously listened to the Judas Priest one because we have a video on it. But yeah, no. I do want to say something to one of our viewers. One of our biggest ones in terms of like interacting with us and making suggestions, and that's Chill of Sevenfold.
Oh, he's still responding?
He's still there because when we released one of the part 4s, he said he was looking forward to the other parts, which is why I wanted to say something, because we never got to the last part. We never got to the filming part 6. So I wanted to apologize to him for that, but if he's patient, eventually we will film it. We're not going to like completely forget about it, make it go away. So I just wanted to ask specifically for him for his patience, because eventually we will get to it, and apologize for not getting to it before this all happened. Yeah, let him know we appreciate him and everything, and let him know what was going on. So
one of the other things that I wanted to mention is that for me, even in the event that something weird occurs and we're no longer able to continue, I just want to say I feel like we made it based off the comment that we got 2 weeks ago. And that was on Death Doom Part 1. And that was the guitarist for November's Doom actually commented on our video and appreciated what we did. And November's Doom is absolutely one of my favorite doom metal, death doom groups. They're the ones who got me into it. they were the pioneers for me. Of course, there are other pioneers for the genre, but they are the ones that were my gateway drug to doom metal. And the fact that he got on, commented, and appreciated what we did, like that was for me. That was like the icing on the cake. I'm like, I've completed what I set out to do.
That's one of the other cool things about doing this channel is that you run it, because that's the second time we've had a musician from one of the bands say something. Just the
Yeah,
guy from Trivia.
yeah, a guy from Trivax, vocalist and guitarist. He, even though it was like the horns, he still watched our video and commented, which is something I never expected would happen.
It's cool. It's another thing that gives you a little motivation to attempt to keep doing these, and so yeah, just bear with us.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal is to be back.
It is, and like I said, I will be making a channel update for my own personal channel just because I do have plans to mess with that. I just, again, timing, don't know when it's going to happen, but I want it to happen. So the last time I didn't sign off properly like I typically do, but I guess I could do it in this one since we completely screwed up the first attempt. But guys, that is it, and until next time, until next channel update, keep rolling heavy.